Let me ask you something most people are too embarrassed to Google. Does watching pornography cause erectile dysfunction? You've probably heard people claim it does. No FAP communities swear by it. There are entire Reddit threads dedicated to porn-induced ED. But what does the actual science say? Here's the thing. The answer is more nuanced than either side wants to admit. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where you stand. But that's not even the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. Because I'm also going to share something that genuinely shocked me. Your ability to get an erection right now may be predicting whether you'll have a heart attack in the next 7 years. I'm not being dramatic. That's peer-reviewed medicine. Stick with me. Here's everything we're covering today. How erections actually work, and why most men have no idea. The 3 types of erections, because yes, there are 3 and most guys only know 1. Every major cause of erectile dysfunction, ranked. The porn question, answered with real data. And finally, the free natural ways to reverse ED backed by clinical trials. No pills, no supplements, no gimmicks, just science. Let's get into it. Most men have never thought about the mechanics of what's actually happening when they get an erection. And honestly, understanding this changes everything, because once you know how it works, you understand exactly why it breaks down. Your penis is made up of 2 spongy cylinders called the corpora cavernosa. Think of them like 2 balloons sitting side by side. Each one has a large artery pumping blood in and veins carrying blood out. Wrapped around these is a sheath called the tunica albuginea. And this thing is remarkable. It's made of type 1 collagen, and scientists have described its tensile strength as comparable to steel. That's not a metaphor. That's the actual material holding your erection together. Here's how it all fires. You see, hear, or feel something arousing. Your brain, specifically an area called the hypothalamus, sends a signal down the spinal cord to the nerves in your penis. Those nerves release a chemical called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is essentially the ignition key for erections. It tells the muscles inside the corpora to relax, which allows blood to flood in, and we're talking a several-fold increase in blood flow almost instantly. As pressure builds, the penis expands. That expansion stretches the tunica albuginea, which then squeezes the veins shut, trapping blood inside and giving you a firm erection. This is called the tumescence phase. And then there's one more step most people don't know about. A reflex called the bulbocavernosus reflex causes the muscles at the base of the penis to contract, making the erection even harder and more full. To put this in numbers, a flaccid penis has about 20 to 40 millimeters of mercury of oxygen in the tissue. During a full erection, that nearly triples to 90 to 100. There is no other organ in the human body with that kind of dynamic blood flow shift. None. One more thing that surprises people. Your penis doesn't stop where you think it does. It actually extends deep into the pelvis, curving downward. That's why stimulation in the perineum, the area between your legs, can feel arousing. There's erectile tissue all the way down there. Now, most men think an erection is just an erection, but there are actually 3 completely distinct types. And knowing the difference can literally help you figure out what's going wrong. The first is a reflexive erection. These are caused purely by physical touch, no arousal needed at all. Nerve signals from the genitals travel to the sacral spinal cord and trigger an automatic response. These are the random erections you can't control. They're more common in younger men with higher testosterone, and they're not a problem. They're your body's way of keeping erectile tissue oxygenated and healthy. The second is a psychogenic erection. These are the ones you think about when you hear the word erection. They're triggered by mental or sensory stimulation, visual, auditory, fantasy. They originate in the brain and travel down through the nervous system to the penis. The third is a nocturnal erection. Every single night, your body runs a maintenance cycle. Most men have 3 to 4 erections during sleep, particularly during REM sleep. That's why you often wake up with one. And here's why this matters clinically. If you're struggling to get erections during sex, but you're still waking up with strong morning erections, the problem is likely psychological. not physical. Your plumbing works. Your brain is getting in the way. But if morning erections have completely disappeared, that's a red flag that something physical is happening inside your body. Go see a doctor. Now let's talk about what actually causes erectile dysfunction. Because there are more causes than most people realize, and most men are focused on the wrong ones. Almost every man with ED has some psychological component, even if the root cause is physical. Here's why. You fail to get an erection. You feel embarrassed. You start ruminating about it. Next time you try, you're already in your head. You're in. Will it happen again? What will my partner think? Am I broken? That anxiety actively prevents erections. And then the cycle feeds itself, getting worse every single time. Psychogenic ED also includes performance anxiety, relationship issues, depression, guilt, low self-esteem, trauma, and even cultural or religious conflict around sex. The data is sobering. Men with ED are 2 to 4 times more likely to show symptoms of depression. These things are deeply connected. The number one physical cause is vascular ED, and it comes down to one word, nitric oxide. When the lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium, becomes unhealthy, it produces less nitric oxide. Less nitric oxide means less blood flow into the penis. Less blood flow means weaker erections. What damages the endothelium? High blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, and diabetes. These conditions cause plaque buildup and arterial stiffening. Blood literally can't get through as efficiently as it should. The long-term danger is something called fibrosis, permanent scar tissue forming inside the erectile tissue itself. Once that happens, it's irreversible. This is exactly why catching and treating vascular risk factors early is not optional. There's also something called venous leak, where blood escapes the penis too quickly because pressure never builds high enough to fully compress the outflow veins. This can be caused by neurological conditions, radiation treatment, or Peyronie's disease, where plaques develop on the penis causing painful curvature or deformity. And diabetes deserves a special mention. 30% of men with ED have diabetes. If you have diabetes, you are 3.5 times more likely to develop ED. Nearly half of all diabetic men will experience it at some point. Now here's one that surprises people. Some of the most commonly prescribed medications in the world quietly kill erections. The main offenders are antidepressants like Prozac, Zoloft, and Celexa. Anti-anxiety medications like Valium and Ativan. Blood pressure medications, especially thiazide diuretics and beta blockers like metoprolol and propranolol, antihistamines including Benadryl, opioid painkillers, and chemotherapy drugs. The tricky part is that you actually need to treat high blood pressure because untreated hypertension causes vascular ED anyway. So quitting your medication is never the answer. The real answer is to talk to your doctor about alternatives. There are blood pressure and antidepressant medications with much lower or even zero risk of sexual side effects. You just have to ask. Anything that disrupts nerve signals between the brain, spinal cord, and penis can also cause ED. This includes spinal cord injuries, multiple sclerosis, and pelvic surgeries like prostatectomy, which account for about 5% of all ED cases. Then there are hormones. Testosterone gets all the attention, but hormones only account for about 3% of ED cases. Testosterone deficiency may play a partial role, but it's rarely the whole story. Thyroid problems and elevated prolactin can also interfere. The takeaway is that testosterone therapy alone is unlikely to fix your ED. It may help incrementally, but it's almost never the complete solution. Don't fall for that shortcut. Smoking damages blood vessels. Smoking damages nerves. And smoking can actually cause your penis to shrink by reducing tissue elasticity over time. Men who smoke face a 50% to 116% higher risk of ED compared to non-smokers. The good news, if you quit while you're young, you can fully recover normal erectile function. As for alcohol, whiskey dick is real. Large amounts of alcohol acutely suppress erections, but chronic heavy drinking does something worse. It lowers testosterone, damages nerves, and can cause long-term neurogenic ED. Try to stay under 7 drinks per week. Ideally much less. Amphetamines double your odds of developing ED. Chronic opioid use creates an 8 times higher risk compared to non-users. And heavy, long-term cannabis use disrupts the hormonal axis and reduces testosterone, though lower doses don't carry the same risk. Now here's the part nobody expects. And even if you don't care about sex right now, you need to hear this. The arteries supplying blood to your penis are 1 to 2 millimeters in diameter. The arteries to your heart are 3 to 4 millimeters. Smaller pipes get blocked first. This means erectile dysfunction is often the very first visible sign of cardiovascular disease, showing up years before any chest pain or cardiac event. Doctors sometimes call it the canary in the coal mine for heart health. The numbers make this impossible to ignore. If you're diagnosed with ED today, within 7 years, 15% of men go on to have a heart attack. If you develop ED, get checked immediately. Blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and EKG. Don't wait and don't dismiss it. And it goes even further than your heart. Blood flow problems affect your brain too. In a study of 4,000 men, those with ED over 7 years were 68% more likely to develop Alzheimer's and dementia, even after controlling for all cardiovascular risk factors. Even more striking, when ED improves, cognitive function tends to improve alongside it. When ED worsens, cognitive function follows the same downward trend. Your erectile health is a window into your entire vascular system. Take it seriously. Okay, now we get to the question you actually came here for. Does pornography cause erectile dysfunction? Studies have looked at porn use, frequency of use, and erectile dysfunction in sheer, and they have not found a general correlation. Porn use by itself does not appear to cause ED, premature ejaculation, or reduce sexual satisfaction across the general population. But, and this is the critical part, higher risk. If you already have depression, anxiety, or chronic stress, pornography can amplify psychogenic ED. If you feel personal guilt or moral conflict about using porn, whether for religious or deeply personal reasons, that internal friction can directly translate into psychological sexual dysfunction. And there's a specific behavioral pattern worth paying close attention to. If you find yourself preferring solo masturbation with pornography over sex with a real partner, that's a warning sign. Over time, your brain can become habituated to a very specific type of stimulation that simply cannot be replicated with another human being. When real intimacy doesn't match what you've conditioned yourself to respond to, erections can become genuinely difficult. The fix isn't necessarily to quit cold turkey. It's to be conscious and varied in what you watch, how you engage, and what you fantasize about. Break the habitual pattern before it hardwires itself. Bottom line, porn doesn't cause ED for most men, but for vulnerable men, especially those with anxiety, depression, or guilt around it, it absolutely can contribute to psychogenic ED. Know which category you're in. So now that you understand what causes ED, let's talk about how to actually reverse it without medication. First and foremost, you have to treat your underlying health issues. This is non-negotiable. If you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or diabetes and they're uncontrolled, nothing else will work to its full potential. You have to fix the root cause first. Everything else builds on top of that foundation. Next is exercise. And this is the most underrated ED treatment that exists. 11 randomized controlled trials, multiple countries, study durations ranging from 2 months to 2 years. And the conclusion is always the same. Aerobic exercise significantly improves erectile function. The sweet spot from the research is 30 to 60 minutes of moderate intensity cardio 3 to 5 times per week. Zone 2 effort, brisk walking, cycling, treadmill. You should be slightly breathless, but still able to hold a conversation. The effect was greatest in men with severe ED. More room to improve means more visible results. Exercise works because it heals the endothelium, which directly increases nitric oxide production. Add resistance training on top, and you also get a meaningful boost in testosterone. Then there's sleep, the free treatment nobody uses. Better sleep quality, 7 or more hours, uninterrupted, with healthy REM cycles, leads to meaningfully higher testosterone and better erectile function. And remember, your nighttime erections are your body's maintenance system. Poor sleep means fewer nocturnal erections, less oxygen delivered to erectile tissue, and faster degradation over time. Fix your sleep, and you're fixing your erections while you're unconscious. That's a pretty good deal. What about food? A 2020 JAMA study followed 21,000 men for 10 years and found that men most closely following the Mediterranean diet had the lowest risk of developing ED. A 22% lower risk in men under 60, 18% lower in men between 60 and 70, and 7% lower even in men over 70. It doesn't matter how old you are when you start eating well. You will see improvement. The Mediterranean diet means fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, olive oil, fish, and poultry, while limiting red meat, processed food, and added sugar. Specific foods with evidence behind them include flavonoid-rich foods like apples, citrus, dark chocolate, grapes, kale, and onions. A study of 25,000 men found a 9% lower incidence of ED in those who ate them regularly. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish help boost nitric oxide availability. And watermelon contains citrulline, which your body converts into arginine, which is a direct precursor to nitric oxide. If you're overweight, losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight has been shown to improve erectile function meaningfully. Excess fat promotes inflammation, lowers testosterone, and accelerates the vascular damage that drives ED. And finally, quit smoking. It's the single biggest reversible vascular risk factor you can address. Limit alcohol to under 7 drinks per week, and avoid chronic recreational drug use, especially opioids and amphetamines. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Your erectile health is not just about sex. It's a real-time readout of your cardiovascular system, your hormonal health, your mental health, and your overall physiology. When it starts to slip, your body is sending you a message. Don't ignore it. The good news is that for most men, ED is reversible, especially when caught early. Exercise, sleep, diet, and stress management are not soft suggestions. They're clinically validated interventions with real data behind them. You have far more power over this than you think. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who needs it. And if you want me to cover specific supplements next, drop it in the comments. I'll make it happen. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.